It's December. Let's have some fun and Q&A. If you could only buy one more watch ever, this is so hard, which watch would it be? I'm going to make my budget really high for this. Since it's the last watch I'm buying ever, why not put it on credit card and pay for it the rest of my life? I would get the Breguet Classique chronograph at Le Mania movement reference 3237. So this makes use of the Le Mania 3210, the same movement that is used in the VC Les Historiques chronograph and Patek 5070. And this is maybe one of the most important models for modern Breguet. Roth era. This was really when Daniel Roth was establishing the design codes for Breguet going forward, and it's a beautiful watch. 36mm case diameter, quintessential Breguet, and I would say it's a piece of modern watchmaking history. Need help choosing my next watch? Czapek versus Parmigiani versus Vacheron Constantin Overseas Gen 2. There's not a lot of information to work off of here, like which Parmigiani. I can say the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Gen 2 specifically is my least favorite. I am leaning Parmigiani the most, but just saying Parmigiani can mean a lot of things. Number 3, buying watches on finance. Should I do it? I always say to people, it's your money, it's your financial choices. I have lots of friends who buy watches on finance, and I completely understand why. I personally don't. I'm really cautious with my money. I know I'm pretty financially irresponsible and I have no self-discipline, so it would be a slippery slope if I started. So for me, it's easiest to have a hard and fast rule. I only buy things when I have the money saved up. And if it's a watch that I like enough, if I have to save for a couple years, it's not a biggie. A lot of people buy watches on finance. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Just make sure you don't go too crazy with it. Following Nico and Teddy, which indie brand or micro brand would you collab with? This whole path of making collaboration watches doesn't really call to me. I feel like I'm such a tried and true YouTuber. I just want to make videos. I don't want to design watches. I just want to judge the watches other people design. If I did do a collaboration, it would have to be something I'm immensely proud of and stand by the quality. The list of brands I'd collaborate with is very small. Nomos would be at the tippy top. H. Moser, Richard Mille, probably. They're not going to collaborate with me. None of these are going to collaborate with me. And Casio. Next question. I am looking for the perfect holiday gift for the person who is impossible to buy for. Any suggestions? I am someone who tries way too hard on gifts. I always want to get something that is unique and perfect for the person who is receiving it, if that makes sense. There is an art to this stuff, and this is where today's fabulous video sponsor comes in. So this is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization by Hungry Minds, and it is essentially a beautifully illustrated encyclopedia of humankind's greatest inventions and discoveries. I always say watches are the intersection of art, history, fashion, or design, and engineering, and that's exactly what the book is. It's beautiful artwork, interesting topics, perfect for the curious-minded collector of things. I've never had an item like this before. Like, very high quality, the pages are so thick and honestly beautiful. It feels like what books used to be like in ancient times, like in the Library of Alexandria. I feel like a book like this would be there. It has over 400 pages, 180 topics, and 23 chapters. I mean, it is the ultimate guide to rebuilding civilization, so if things go real bad here on Earth, I will have the perfect document to help us. From understanding the strongest arches for bridges, to how batteries work, and the intricacies of pattern cutting. I am so glad I found this. If this is something you want to check out, go follow the link that is in my description and use promo code BRIT to get 10% off your Hungry Minds, the book. I can't recommend it enough. Go click that link, and thank you so much to Hungry Minds for sponsoring this video. Okay, question 5. You only seem to do positive reviews. Why is that? It makes me distrust you and others agree. Okay. I'm going to try to not take this personally. This does open up a few avenues of discussion. I remember when I was first getting into watches, when I bought my first mechanical watch. It was a Nomos Tanganta, the Hodinkee limited edition Tanganta Sport. And I was really proud of it. It was a lot of money for me to spend on a watch, especially at that point where I was just dipping my toes in a little bit more. I was very, very proud to own it. And then I saw a video of a YouTuber. It was Archie Luxury. And I loved the Archie Luxury channel. And he was basically just talking about how crap Nomos is. He would never buy one. Nomos is a shitter. And I remember looking down at my watch and feeling kind of sad and feeling stupid and thinking, did I buy a bad watch? I'm so dumb. Why did I do this? So I talked to my husband about it. I said, did I buy a bad watch? And he said, no, don't listen to anyone. You love this watch. You're so proud of this watch. Don't let anyone's opinion, don't let what anyone says change the way that you feel about this watch. I know more about watches now. I'm pretty secure in my tastes, the brands I like, and I work very closely with Nomos because they are in fact not shitters. But at the time when I was newer to the hobby, this did give me a wobble. Watches are really expensive, meaningful purchases for people, and I want to be excited with people. I don't find joy in slagging off brands and being negative, even when I do negative videos. Like, I recently did a brand assessment of Grand Seiko and some of the areas I feel like they can improve upon. I hope the video didn't come across as me crapping on Grand Seiko. I say in the video, 2026 is probably the year where I buy my first Grand Seiko. I really like them. I think the watches as products are amazing. The biggest problem is that more people should know about them, and I wish the marketing was better, and I think more people should have them. So my general rule is I only feature watches and brands that I'm excited about and want to show. I try my best to be level-headed. There is no perfect watch out there. Every watch has its negatives, and I talk about them. I usually even go so in depth to say the things I dislike and the things I think other people will dislike, but they're not a problem for me. But being mean or just trying so hard to be negative isn't really my thing. There's a weird thing in our community where being negative and being jaded sometimes makes people think you're more knowledgeable, and I don't think that's true. I just overall like more things about watches than I dislike, because once again, this is an enthusiast hobby channel. To be honest, most watches are great. The only deviation is in personal tastes and subjective factors. I think we need more categories for how we view watch content. I don't consider myself a watch journalist. I'm not here to break open stories, follow leads, expose brands, post in a daily publication. That's not what I am. That's not what I do. I don't want to be a watch journalist, whatever that is, but I also wouldn't say I'm an influencer either. I would almost say I'm a watch critic, if that exists. I view my job as assessing and interpreting watch releases and culture, say what I think is on and what's off. I read through all the press packs that are sent out where they just say, isn't this great? Isn't this amazing? Everyone needs one. It's my job to cut through the fluff, get hands-on if I can, and say what's actually happening here. Do I actually think this is a good watch, bad watch? Is it worth the price? Who's this for? That was a really long reply. Okay, next one. Let's move on. I don't really care about watch movements and just go for the vibe of a watch. Is that okay? Yes, this is completely okay, and I think this is something we should talk about more. You are allowed to like watches for whatever reason you want, and that's one of the coolest things about this hobby. I always say watches are the intersection of art, history, fashion, and engineering, and people's primary interest is usually somewhere on that spectrum. I am quite similar to the question asker in that the vibe is one of the top reasons why I choose or don't choose a watch. Specifications are great. Innovative movements are awesome. But humans are emotional creatures. I think a lot of us like to pretend we are above the vibe. We are these logical beings who simply buy what is best, but that's not how humans operate. A watch should make you feel something. It should make you feel like $1,000,000. If you want to call that the vibe, the X factor, whatever it is. These are some of the most expensive things that a lot of people buy. Yeah, it should feel like Oz. What's your take on the Cartier Santos as a package, movement, design, etc.? The Cartier Santos is one of the strongest overall packages. The design is untouchable. It's so good. Beautifully done. Beautiful movement. Well, good movement. Great wearing experience. 100 meters of water resistance. It's a bit more polished, so that's something to keep in mind if you're someone who's a bit more low-key. I'd recommend everyone at least tries on the Cartier Santos, the Santos de Cartier, and there are some real deals to be had going secondary. Number 9, and let's make this the last question, what do you think of Gen Z getting into vintage dress watches?
I love it!
I love the tastes and sensibilities of Gen Z, and it's always exciting when there's a new movement forming. It feels like we're at this pivot point, this kind of changing point. I don't know. I love it. It would be so boring if we were into the same old things for all of time. I'm kind of ready for the mid-century dive watch phase to be over. And yeah, let's get into some weirdo cocktail watches, high complication dress pieces, men wearing Cartier Panthers, Casio rings. I love it all. I'm ready for the serious, no nonsense tool watch era to end and the floofy, goofy, weirdo stone dials, vintage weirdness era to begin. Watches are meant to be fun. This hobby is meant to be enjoyable. And one person's enjoyment of one thing doesn't need to threaten your enjoyment of another thing. And I say that to both sides. Sometimes when new people enter a hobby, they can be annoying and they think they know more than they do. And I've been that person. We've all been that person. So I try to have patience and grace with people, the same patience and grace that I was afforded. Also, this is something I'm trying to remind myself, is that you're allowed to change and evolve. You're allowed to like one thing for a time in your life and change. I think that's probably a signifier of a mature person. Some things you like forever, some things you don't. And you're allowed to be three-dimensional. You're allowed to have military-inspired field watches alongside dressy, floofy pieces. Anyways, I'm just waffling. What am I doing? Thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Hungry Minds for sponsoring this video. And thank you to the Pope tier patrons. Oh yeah. Get their names on the screen. Hi, Willow. She says thank you, patrons.